Hi, today is December 3rd, 2019. We are beginning today's our regularly scheduled town board meeting. If we could stand for the pledge. Diane, you want to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, I will turn it over to you for vacation.
Yes, once again, we like to reach out to our faith community and starting our meetings off with a word, and we're very blessed to have with us again today our old faithful Reverend Cooper to lead us in our invocation from the House of Praise right here on Roanoke Avenue. Hello, Reverend Cooper.
I would give Jim a little bit of a hard time because he said Old Faithful.
Old Faithful, Old Faithful meaning our standby.
You can get at him, no problem.
Father, during this time of joy, during this time of peace and love, we turn to you, O God. We ask that you will just continue to bless us, bless this town which we find ourselves living in, oh God. There's no place like it, oh God. We've been all over the world and there's no place like Riverhead. We ask, oh God, that you continue to hover over us, oh God. Watch over us as you do the sparrows. And we ask, oh God, that you would bless these people, oh God, that have come with petitions, oh God, and our town board, oh God, which watches over us. We ask, oh God, that you would just bless us, and we thank you, oh God, for the little sliver of SNOW that you sent. We know that this is winter time, and we give you praise, glory, and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
I had to figure out.
I'm glad he took it away, too.
All right, at this time, before we go into, we're going to close, can I have a first and second to close the town board meeting, and to open the CDA regular meeting, which was scheduled for today, December 3rd, 2019 at 2 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried. Done?
Good afternoon. We have, we need a resolution to approve the minutes of the CDA regular meeting of November 6th, 2019 at 2 p.m.
Can I have a first and second for approval of the minutes from 2006?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted, the minutes are approved. And I think we have open comments on resolutions.
Is there anybody up, we have two resolutions on for the CDA meeting. Is there anybody that would like to come up and comment on those?
It's Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. Although I know in the past the scheduling of town meetings, CDA meetings, along with town meetings at 2 p.m. was to accommodate senior citizens. And as a senior citizen, I don't, myself, that accommodation I don't think is really something that's needed. Riverhead is a working class town, and it would behoove us to allow us to have our business conducted all at the 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. as we used to do during the weekdays. So I would ask that if this resolution contains, because I don't have the resolution in front of me, just the proposal for, just the listing of it, contains for 2 p.m. meetings, that it be adjusted in line so that there only are meetings at either at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., whatever is the evening hour that's been adopted. That way I think we can encourage more residents to participate in town board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. So well, we'll call the resolution, then we can do discussion.
Okay, resolution 15 of 2019 establishes time of regular meetings of the Community Development Agency.
Didn't we already adopt the town board meeting times for next year now?
Yes, this is
CDA.
CDA.
This is the CDA.
Oh, understood, but if we're gonna do it, we should do them both at the same time and consistent. If there was a change to be made, to change
Right.
all the town board meetings to 6 o'clock at night.
It is on for the town board meeting, for the
It's, the way they have, the way that it was set up, it was, be held at the bi-monthly meeting at the town hall on the first Tuesday of each month. So that's the way the CDA meeting was set up.
Well, that's the way the town board meetings are set up also. The first Tuesday of the month, it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the third Tuesday, it's at 6 o'clock at night,
I don't have a
so.
copy of the resolution. Is the time specified now, or it just says?
Yes.
It's in there,
It's-
there's an attachment.
It should be under the it's not under the regular town board meeting, it's listed as a separate meeting, which is the CDA meeting. All of the CDA meetings are scheduled for 2 PM, at the first meeting, because they are not
Okay.
at the.
So it does mirror the town.
It does, right, so if you have all of your meetings on the first Tuesday meeting, then it's at 2 o'clock. If they were to change the CDA meetings to occur on the third meeting of the second meeting of each month, they'd all fall at 6 o'clock. Is that correct, Diane?
I'm sorry, wasn't following.
Second meeting,
Wasn't paying attention.
first meetings of the month are at 2 o'clock,
Yes.
second meetings of the month are at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
So if the board was so inclined to have the CDA meetings at 6 o'clock, not at 2 o'clock, then we would amend the resolution to say, to be at the second, the second, meeting of the month.
I don't think that's what Ms. DeVito was saying. I was thinking that she was saying that all the town board meetings and CDA meetings should be at 6 o'clock at night and not at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Six
Am
or
I-
seven.
Not just the CDA meetings, town board meetings too.
It's specifically on, okay, the CDA resolution is that which is in front of us. And my understanding is that the CDA resolution runs in parallel with the town board meeting
Correct.
resolution for the first,
They're on the
Tuesday.
same, they are to occur on the same dates, and the CDA meetings are once a month, not bi-monthly. So the CDA meetings, what this resolution doing is setting the CDA meetings once a month for the entire year. They're all being set at the first Tuesday meeting of the month, which makes them all at 2 o'clock. When the board starts to look at the resolution, if you would like to change it to the 6 o'clock, then this resolution would be that the meetings would be held at the second meeting, of the month. And then they would all fall at 6 o'clock, along with our regularly established board meetings. We're not being asked to change the board meetings to all 6 o'clock, this is to establish the CDA meetings.
Well, the resolution for the annual calendar, I believe, is in the resolutions today for the town. And I was going to speak to the fact that we do away with all 2 o'clock meetings for town board meetings.
Yeah.
So you would have
That's what I thought you were
somehow to
saying.
bring both of these, in a line with each other. And I don't know if it's more convenient for the CDA on the first Tuesday of the month or the third Tuesday of the month. But I just think that the 2 o'clock meetings does not serve, the people of the residents of Riverhead, whether it be CDA or town board meetings.
Okay, thank you.
I find it's amazing. It's
So
amazing.
why don't we let's call the resolution and then we can do discussion.
Yeah, I think irregardless whether we change times or not, and believe me, for 12 years, we've had afternoon meetings that I was opposed to 12 years ago, so, when it first occurred. But I think the idea for the CDA to have a 2 o'clock meeting was to have staff on hand if there was any questions, not just Dawn, but the whole department is on hand to answer questions about any particular, I think that was probably the reason for the 2 o'clock meeting and not the 6 o'clock. I realize we can, I
I
see your
think-
hand, I know what you're saying, but, that's all, I'm just saying, so. Oh, I realize that we can ask the staff to stay here all night if we want, but that's not the point.
later and stay later.
Well, that's a union thing, but.
Well, I think also it's been, you know, part of the executive director, if the meeting is being held, then you make yourself available, because Dawn's hours are not by a 9 to 5, she's, you
And
know,
I go to the
you
6
have
o'clock meeting
flexible
anyway.
hours based on what the job
But truth be
requirements
told,
are.
I've never been in favor of a 2 o'clock meeting, ever, to be honest with you.
Well, it seems like the 6 o'clock.
They did that to try to accommodate, I guess, to the senior community who didn't wanna drive at night, or the weather, or was low. I realize why they did it, but.
So the question before us at this point is, do we want to amend this resolution to change the meetings without discussing the town hall meetings at this point? Do we want to change the CDA meetings to the second Tuesday meeting, which would make all of them at 6 PM? Make it easier for the community to be able to get here for these meetings.
Well, it does seem like 6 o'clock is better for most people, although there are people here today at 2, so if anyone else has a different thought,
Well,
come to the mic.
I think too, what happened is we didn't need to have a CDA meeting bi-monthly or twice a month, so when we went to once a month and we separated those notices, that's why we wound up all on one time. Either works for us, we'll do whatever the board wants, we come to the 6 o'clock meeting anyhow, so whatever you prefer is
Well,
certainly not a
So
problem.
it's probably
for
just
us.
easier, like you said, Laura, it's probably just easier that we recognize the CDA at our second meeting of the month, just so and we'll deal with the time at the town board meetings and we hope that resolution.
Okay.
And what's, I mean, it seems that when the EPCAL project comes up, it seems like we have a line of people, and we spend hours sometimes discussing the EPCAL subdivision or concerns or, comments from the public. So we have to all take that into consideration too, that seeing as we are going to be having, you know, future meetings about the CDA and about the EPCAL property, that we might be here till midnight some nights with the people, how they line up for the, discussion items on that. I mean, it might be more appropriate to have them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I think you bring up a good point. Maybe we should table this resolution and talk about it at work session on Thursday, and then come up with a plan to where we are, consistent, and it's not something that's just being thrown at us.
But can we just call the resolution so we can have a discussion?
It has been cool.
We did a first and second on this?
I did call it.
We did a first and second already?
Yeah.
that's why we're having a
This is as is.
Okay, so we had the first and second. So I would be inclined to accommodate the 6 o'clock meetings. I think, you know, Jody, kind of what you were saying, as, you know, the EPCAL discussion.
No,
I
there was
called
not.
it, I don't
There
know
was
if it was moved
It
and
was moved.
seconded.
It was
All right,
moved.
okay, you called it, can I have a first and second?
I'll move it. That's the
Second.
first.
First and second discussion, okay. So the you know, I have no problem because the meetings are occurring anyhow at 6 o'clock. It's just a matter of changing it to the third Tuesday of each month to follow the town boards, the 6 o'clock town board scheduled.
I think that's a good idea.
meeting.
And anything to deal with Jody's issue, and I agree with it, that sometimes when you have a special notice for a special hearing, which probably the EPCAL subdivision is the only one I can think of that would spark that kind of input, you could specially notice that for a
Yeah,
special
and I
time.
think it should be for its own night for those
Right, you can
particular
special
type of
a-
meetings.
You can special a separate day for that.
Yep.
Well, maybe we should just not drag our meetings out so long.
So,
All right, so we've called it, we first and
Can't
second,
control the public when
seconded.
they wanna come
Can
talk.
I amend it, Bob, before if we first and seconded?
Before the vote's taken up, if you wanna make a
Okay,
motion to amend,
can- can I make a
we can
mo-
move to amend, and then it's gotta be seconded to the amendment.
Okay, can I make a motion to amend the resolution, for the meetings to be held on the third Tuesday of the month?
So moved?
I'll second the amendment.
Moved and seconded, and then
okay, we'll,
to the 6 o'clock time.
so we'll vote on the amendment, CDA 2019 Resolution 15 establishes the time of regular meetings of the Community Development Agency as amended. Was moved and seconded. Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Okay, that resolution is adopted as amended. Resolution, CDA 2019-16 ratifies license agreement with Civil Air Patrol 9th Suffolk Cadet Squadron.
Make a motion.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Okay, that resolution is adopted, and we have open comments from the public now.
If there's anybody, from the public that would like to come up and address the board on any, business for the community development, agency, please come forward. Seeing nobody, can I have a first and second to close the CDA meeting and reopen our regularly scheduled meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. All right. Now, can I have a first and second for the approval of the town board meeting, regular meeting from November 19th, 2019 at 6 p.m.?
Motion.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent? Yes.
Yes.
Was the change made on my vote on that one resolution, Diane? Yes, it was. Okay, because the minutes were incorrect in that, so, yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. You want me to just go into
Yes, please.
correspondence? Okay, under correspondence, a letter from John McAuliffe. He sent an article with excerpts regarding Gramasian's American Green Project. a letter from Bort Badaluccio, and he sent a letter with comments regarding the public hearing on Chapter 273, solid waste. Under reports, Riverhead IDA and Riverhead Economic Job Development Corporation sent in their 2020 profit and loss budget. Town clerk, November monthly report, $12,943.21. Building department, November monthly report, $164,896.25. And I think that's all I have.
All right, we have no public hearings scheduled for today, so I will call, anybody who would like to come up and comment on any of the resolutions before we move into resolutions. Please come forward.
Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. I'd like to ask some questions about Resolution 2019-884. The first one deals with the distribution of the Community Development Block Grant monies that the town of Riverhead gets on an annual basis. With regard to the parking and pedestrian improvements, are those parking and pedestrian improvements that are outside of the parking district, where we collect that, which is a special taxing district and has a budget to attend to such? Are these other areas that we do not cover with parking district funds?
I do not know if they've been identified as particular items. Is
They have.
Dawn here?
It's not particular items, but as it was explained to me, it has to be used downtown.
And that's within the parking district?
Well, I'm not sure.
Town
if
is,
it's-
downtown is a parking
Dawn will
district,
come
correct?
answer.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly is slotted for. These ones are slotted for at this point. I'm not sure where the lights are going, so.
Well, the parking district owns a small portion of the riverfront parking lot.
As well as the north parking lot?
Town owns the majority
And
of
others,
it.
yeah.
They own a small portion of these. There's a lot of town parking as well as intermixed with the town parking.
Well, the parking zone district monies has always been used on town parking lots also,
Right.
as we know.
Dawn,
yeah.
if you could just address
Well,
for the
not always.
CDBG money, the parking and pedestrian improvements, what is slotted for that?
Yeah, my question is that, are these parking and pedestrian improvements that are outside of the town's parking district? Like, for example, in South Jamesport, we have sidewalks, and those are pedestrian improvements. Are these monies for something such as that?
So CDBG money is limited to a low-income community, so Jamesport is not, by census tract, Jamesport wouldn't qualify as a low-income community. The money is used throughout the year by the town board, as we've done in the past, to make improvements. I think you did Benjamin Place this year, that was done.
We
Down
did
by the
also in front of the community
community
gardens
garden
over there.
was
It was used
done.
to increase the sidewalk, put some benches in there, and also some repair to the road that the town owns behind that. I don't know, and Dawn, I think the question is, in the application for this grant, is it defined where these will be used at this time for the upcoming
No.
year?
Not yet.
So that it will just
It's
be
kind of
funding
loose.
that's being applied for to be able to address those issues in the downtown area.
Parking districts, lighting districts, and transportation districts.
It could,
have their own funding and should be dealing with these issues around downtown.
Right, many of the lights, the improvements for the lights downtown have been, part of the downtown revitalization, money that we've received from the county. I will also believe that on Main Street itself, a lot of the lights were done as part of a, maybe a DOT grant at one point, so when they did the sidewalks, was the lights part of that?
that was downtown revitalization, and we often use CDBG, parking and pedestrian to match other.
order to get the other grants.
Yes, and sometimes they are done within the parking district, and sometimes they are done
Yeah,
outside.
but the parking district doesn't own the sidewalks in between the
Correct.
community
Right, correct.
garden.
So anything related to,
That's just one example.
yeah, we could use it for signage, anything that's a pedestrian improvement.
Right, and the
Handicap.
Landmarks Preservation Commission, Dawn came in and sat with us last night, we were talking about using some of that funding perhaps for a walking tour for the QR codes in front of historic structures, which we have 60 throughout the town, so that we could encourage people to come and, recognize our National Historic District, and using, a computer programming and website to possibly use some of that money for that, so.
And we can use it for handicapped accessibility in any area, it doesn't have to be low-income communities, so if there's any project like that, we could use it for that as well.
Now, I guess, my next, question is that there are, 1, 2, 3, there are 7 organizations that have been identified for each receiving $8,000 each. And my question for the, on the block grants is that, is there a way when applicants put in to receive funding, that there's a way in which we can verify how each application has been evaluated and assessed? For example, is there an evaluation model, a matrix to do this, so that if we were to take all of the applications for associations
back.
seeking less than $8,000, we could come up with a probability we would come up with the same results as we have here? Does that exist?
There is, we'll have Dawn come back and address that. There is, a service that you provide to the county for each one of the projects. I believe, this is what you had given to me the other day, Bob, correct? So the county does require, in the application itself, I guess, to identify who they're servicing, how many people they're servicing, and then it is up to the board, to look at the recommendations, and then to decide how the community block grant money will then be allocated, and then we petition to the county, to support that.
I think what she's asking,
So-
is there a point system or something that's taken into consideration when people are evaluating who's coming
When
and
you as a
asking?
board,
Yeah.
not what the county asks you to do,
Yeah.
where as part of an application for a grant, you always identify who you're going to serve, how you're going to do outreach for them, how you're going to account for your money's utilization if you get the grant that you're asking for, and that's one thing. The other thing is that for us as a town, how we assess applications when they come in, and how we judge the merits of what they want to do, and we look at, and we have an idea. For example, do we know who are the population in this town that need food services, whether they need food pantries, they need food handouts on Friday mornings down by the riverfront, or they need home deliveries for food, those sorts of things? Do we have that type of picture for this town, and what communities these groups will be serving within that? My other question about these groups is that, are they multiple year recipients of funding? My understanding of one of the better uses of your community block grants is to allow organizations seed money. They start up, it doesn't become an annual part of their operational funds that they need, this gets built into, whether it's paying for salaries, paying for supplies, whatever it is that's allowed, they can do that. Because it would seem that as a town we have a great many organizations in this town that reach out to a large number of our community who are in need of help, and it would seem that we could spread some of this money as seed money to other organizations. And I know there was an organization that was left off of this, and then if you just took $1,000 off of each one of those $8,000, you could have funded that other organization, which is a food pantry,
Right, so.
which is needed here. We have a lot of homeless in this town.
So what was explained to us is that if there are duplicative agencies that are providing the same service to the public, that the chances are the county would strike one of those agencies, and one might get it and the other one may not, instead of being duplicative, because anyone from any population within the town of Riverhead, or anywhere within the town of Riverhead, can go to the food pantry that's getting the money. Anybody from the town of Riverhead that needs a meal can go to the soup kitchen. So it's not that you have to have two separate soup kitchens or two separate pantries. To have it in one location that everybody can access makes sense to me, and apparently it makes sense to the county also, in what was explained to us by the CDA director.
But you do have 2 soup kitchens listed here.
Well, we
Not
have-
just one, you have 2. You
No,
have Bread
one
and
is-
Arms, and Bread and More, and Open Arms.
Open Arms
One-
is not a soup kitchen.
One is a pantry and one is a soup kitchen.
Open Arms used to be, Zona Straw used to run one out of our church, but that stopped, and then she did the railroad station for a while, and that stopped. So now it's strictly a food pantry out of the First Baptist Church.
And your funding CAP, which has been a program that's been in existence, it's just celebrated its 30th anniversary?
Probably.
To keep funding them? I mean, it seems to me at this point that monies could be better spent, because they have an ongoing program. They have people who assist them with that. I'm just raising this. It seems that we can, whether the county, I would take the chance and have the county say that this is duplicative. Or ask each of the applicants to describe how you provide your services that are different, okay? One of them is You have 2 food pantries, I guess, is what you have. You would have 2 food pantry applicants. But it's just how all of
There
these.
are actually a lot more than that.
No, I'm just saying is that applied.
Well, St. Isidore Church and other food pantries, I mean,
Did they apply, Dory? Were
Uh,
they applicants that you were aware of?
well, we could tell them to apply.
No,
and then
I'm saying,
decide
were
who's
they
gonna get the money.
applicants this year that you were aware of? You just had certain groups that applied.
Well,
And I'm just saying
Retreat
that
is,
when-
Retreat is brand new for this year, and that is for, you know, battered women or men that have a place that they can go to. So that's something that is brand new this year. The Butterfly Project was brand new a
3 years ago.
So we do take into consideration what the need of the organization is and how many people they're feeding nowadays. I mean, when you have Bread and More and you have the Soup Kitchen come forward and say that their numbers have tripled, you know, and like I said, anybody can go there. So if anybody from Church of the Harvest that would normally go to Church of the Harvest wanted to go to Bread and More to get food, they could.
They could, but perhaps they may not be able to. Some of these programs take care of people in their homes. They bring food to them. I'm just saying that, given the money, the distribution here, adding one more organization and knocking everyone down $1,000 is
Oh,
not
don't
going to
address it.
is not going to proportionally disadvantage all those other organizations. And
Oh, well-
also, the concept here that we begin to use, are we using it as seed money? Or are we just funding operational costs for organizations year after year? Thank you.
I think it's support.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, I think it's support.
So
For
what-
not-for-profits that doesn't have a standing funding source or where contributions are given or donations are given and.
These all have funding sources. For example, the retreat, if they needed to raise $50,000 tomorrow out in Hamptons, they can do it.
Hi, I'm Pastor Mike Triano from Church of the Harvest. We did put a request in, and we would just respectfully ask you to reconsider that request. Gwen Mack has been running our pantry for the last couple of years, and we've been doing this since '82. We've been a church established here in 1982. We've been serving the community. We're probably best known for our Thanksgiving outreach, which we've done. We started in the Riverhead Grill, and we do it at our church now. But I think this woman made some good points in terms of there are some differences in the way we run our food pantry. We do deliveries. We do get in to see many shut-ins, and people are unable to even get to our place. And there are some differences there. So if that is a consideration, but we do respectfully request that you would reconsider your that, and we just leave it to you. We thank you for your service to the community, and I'll leave it at that.
We thank you for all your hard work that you
Yes.
do. We really appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. William Charles Van Helman, current president of the Greater Jamesport Civic Association, established 1948. I'd like to address resolutions number 857 and 858 respectively, with regards to the George Young Community Center with the playground improvements, and on 858, Sharper Hill allocation for the funding of the park.
John, just have her say. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's no problem, not a problem. I'm asking for you guys to support these resolutions and approve them in its entirety. I'm speaking mostly just for the areas that are covered in my jurisdiction as a civic group, but I think all the other ones serve great service for all the respected communities. And I'd just like to point out, as I did at the work session, the Greater Jamesport Civic Association, although we've had numerous names, has been fighting the preservation of Sharper Hill for nearly 20 years. It started back, I actually checked the records. We started back in '99 with working with the previous owner before it went into a whole bunch of different owners, et cetera. And with this current town board, we, with the county legislature 2 years ago, got the land preserved. And we'd like to see the next step go through fruition so we can keep everything on target, and we appreciate you supporting both resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and so just to make a statement on that, the Sharper Hill was preserved a long time ago, long before this administration, number one.
Well, there was two different parts. The agricultural was on the previous one, but the front rural corridor was done 2 years ago. The year I came in as president, I thought you guys were in,
We were
because
in.
all of you were there. So,
And then in 1999, if it started, I'm just curious as to why the master plan in 2004 didn't change the zoning to restrict what could happen there.
that was before me. I'm just looking at records from our archives.
Yeah, I'm curious, Angela probably knows the history on it, because I wasn't 1999, I wasn't on the board, so, but I'm sure Angela was very active
In
in it.
1999, we tried to get the family that were the owners to consider preservation, and they were not interested in it. And in the master plan, we asked for a restriction of the rural corridor through that area there, and it was not considered at that time. It straddles 3 zone use districts.
I mean, there were a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial space that was permitted to be built there in the master plan in 2004, if I'm not mistaken.
Under rural corridor, and there was one of the things that we fought continuously was that the rural corridor, as it exists everywhere in the town, has a 500-foot bump back in.
Yep.
On this particular parcel, it goes back 1,500 feet. And what we established was, it was just a change in a boundary line that occurred in about 1987 to give that 1,000 additional feet there. And that was something that, as a civic, we fought continuously. That was the battle here, week in and week out, to not have 100,000 square feet, because it didn't fit in with what the master plan said about rural corridors at all. So that was, that is a large part of what the entire battle for this was. And I'm glad to see that there is going to be a park there. I hope that it's going to be a passive park.
It is.
That was the discussion that we had with Suffolk County and Al Krupski. And
It's the plans that were submitted to the county where there's the, I think it's 2 small, park, for cars to park, they can also park across the street, and then there's a Part A and Part B. Part A will have more of a harder surface, so anybody who has, mobility impediments can use that portion, and then the back portion will be more of a natural, but cut path, for the whole park. So it's following the plans that were originally submitted to the county. I believe you were on in the civic at that point when the plans were discussed, so it will be created as was intended.
Okay. As long as I'm up here, Jody, I have a quick question.
Sure.
On landmarks. Where is landmarks with Main Corridor preservation?
Well, they're hoping to get another bite at the apple next year, because there hasn't been support for it in the past. So they are working towards that for next year. But it still includes South Hole Town,
Right.
which is part of the problem because they were opposed to it, or a few residents were.
Well, the last time we did have 80% participation, yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't go forward with it because you only need, I believe it's 30% yes
Yeah.
to go forward with it.
It's still on the
And it would not have
table,
been a problem.
but I think that it's going to be done by the historical community for the preservation of historic structures versus the town board. So, because anybody can make that application, and they have all the
Right.
information that they need in order to file it.
Okay, thank you.
And just to finish up, I moved out here in 2007, so I don't have the archives, but it's always nice to have an ace in the hole, so you
Yeah,
can't
sure
argue
is.
with that. But the one key thing I like to point out about Sharper Hill, and one of the things that drew me to this project, and I know the supervisor and I worked on it with the farmland preservation and stuff back early in the days when I first got involved, but there's an ancestral burial ground on this site. There were 4 original ones, 3 have been destroyed, and this ancestral burial ground predates America. Just think about that. And it's being preserved and saved in Riverhead Town. Kudos.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Suffolk County Legislature, and to a willing seller.
I'm up here, my name is Gwen Mack, Church of the Harvest Food Pantry. I'm up here for 2019-884. I would like you to reconsider the Church of the Harvest Food Pantry. I'm very passionate about what I do. Right now, we about quadrupled the people that we had from when I started. We also deliver 8 to 15 families twice a month. I also open my pantry twice a month at night for people who can't make it during the day, because all these jobs are cutting hours and people can't afford to eat anymore. So I'm very passionate about what I do. So I'm asking you to please reconsider our grant. And the other thing is, I would like to ask, how do you go about getting summer jobs for the kids? Because I see right here you report, what is it, 2019-860? You reappoint a student intern to the Justice Department. Justice Court, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think they're doing a January semester. at the Justice Court, that tends to usually go through our personnel department, and, depending on what they need for an intern, they sometimes just reach out to different schools, depending on what somebody's major is for an internship.
So if I have someone who wants to apply, I would go to the personnel department?
Correct, and submit a resume, and a cover letter.
Okay, and the other thing is, what about the other summer jobs for our youth?
Same thing through the personnel department.
Okay, have they started doing it yet?
They have not started, but you can come and submit at any point. I mean, the recreation department is always looking for applicants, and they would prefer to have their staff confirmed earlier in the year, because it does become difficult for them as the year get into the season, to be able to fill all the spots, so the sooner the better. I think they were going to do an outreach. I know they've done outreaches before at the high school, and they've participated in some of the job fairs, but certainly just to bring the resume down, and let the personnel department know.
Personnel's in this building?
It is, it's right
Okay.
around the corner.
Thank you
there.
so much.
Thank you.
And one more thing, Gwen, and for the community, while we're talking about this, we'd like to encourage more people in Riverhead to take the civil service exam. Mr. Hubbard and I serve on the personnel committee, and we always look for Riverhead residents first. So, more people should be taking different civil service exams.
Okay, my other question, will you reconsider giving Church of the Harvest money? Because for years you have given it to Open Arms, and this is the first time I ever came up here to ask for anything. And we do serve the community. We also serve the handicapped and the homebound, because we do deliver to people.
Which I think are really, when we'll have Ms. Thomas come back in, but I do believe that is part of the application, that there is a need for that. And when they look at the applications, I don't know if the Community Development Agency, when they came through with their recommendations, were aware that you provided all of those services also. So we can have Ms. Thomas come back up and just,
Yeah,
because I
because
know
we
that
also, people are losing their jobs or cutting hours, so we do open up at night for people. So we are doing more than most of the churches and pantries around here.
I think what you're doing is very admirable. I think that, when you came up here and spoke, I think you were saying that you doubled your numbers.
Quadruple.
That
We
you're
started
serving,
with 84, we have like 2,100 as of September.
which is a huge impact in our community. I think that that's what these funds are for. I did advocate for you to receive funding. I think there's $56,000 that we're requesting. I think to have requested and given everybody $7,000, I think would have been the appropriate thing to do. My fellow board members did not support me on that, and Catherine did. We know that the retreat had only asked for $6,000, and we gave them $8,000. So I agree with you. I think what you're doing is very admirable. I think it's, unfortunate the times we live in, that so many people are in need, but all of the people that applied certainly do, and this is a rough situation to be in, because I think everybody works so hard to help support our community, and everybody needs funding to be able to do that. So I think it really is appropriate to be able to fund the people that are working so hard, and to reach the segment of our community that truly do need to be supported and uplifted.
Is there a way that we can be reconsidered?
We would have to have
We'll
Ms.
have Dawn
Thomas
come
come
back
back in here, because I'm not sure exactly how the application, because I believe that we are ratifying this. I don't know if we can amend it to the county at this point. I hope that we can.
But I know that Angela did bring up an interesting point, and I think that organizations that come in year after year kind of depend on this money, and they kind of have an idea that they're gonna get the money because they've gotten it year after year. So I think that a policy should be put in place before the end of the year, maybe, that says how we go about allocating the funds for these particular projects, working with the CDA. Because I know the CDA did have a meeting in the supervisor's office with the supervisor and Catherine Kent, who's the liaison to the grants. So the town board never had a public discussion on this, which would have been nice, other than, at the work session, when it was a surprise to all of us that the resolution had even been changed and then changed back.
Well, I would like to speak. I've been trying to get a word in. First, I want to say to Gwen and to the pastor, thank you for what you're doing. It sounds like you have You're really running a great program over there, and we are very blessed in Riverhead that we always, our community gives back so generously, so we do have a lot of organizations. I would love to fund your organization, I've been pretty clear about that. I think that, I'm gonna agree with you, Jody, what we need to do, and I appreciate the recommendations made by the Community Development Agency, I do. But I'd like, since the people came and appealed to us, I would like the board to be able to sit down and have that discussion, all of us together, and look over the list and rethink it and make sure we're doing the right thing. So I would like today to be able to table the resolution and have a board discussion about these programs. And it does seem a shame to leave one program out.
Well, I think we have to go back to Dawn on this. I think the recommendation from the CDA came out as an email to all of us. And I did have concerns about it. I did meet with Dawn to speak to Dawn about it during our regular monthly week and bi-weekly meeting. I forget how often we have them, at least once a week, every other week we have them.
The grant meetings is monthly meeting.
Monthly meetings. So I did discuss it at the monthly meeting. I would just like to pull this back a little bit because I think, as I said, these organizations are terrific organizations. I think there's a time constraint with this. I think when this was brought up at the meeting the other day, it was for a ratification because there was a deadline within the county when it has to go in. Is that correct?
There's a public notice period, a 30-day public notice period, and the way the 30-day notice public comment period fell, we had to file the application before the town board meeting, and we couldn't have the resolution adopted before the 30-day comment period expired. So it just felt a little odd this year, so we did it as a ratification.
So is there a possibility that we could amend it if the board so chose?
We filed the application on Wednesday. That was when it was due.
And
It was due December 1st, that was on a Sunday, I guess.
So my question is, the county then takes those recommendations and brings it to part of their public hearing?
No, that they just award the funding.
Okay, so if
So
they.
each community does their own process, and then the county awards the funding.
So the process is not dictated by the county as to what you submit?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we work with them on ideas, and we talk to them about things that we were thinking about and we've seen and we hope to be able to do, and consult with them, but, you know, in terms of what we ultimately submit, that's a board decision.
It's different, okay.
Dawn, can we look into next year, seeing if there would be any indication from them that we could possibly put another food pantry or
Yeah, so
food
we can,
supplier to-
we've been very fortunate in the past couple of years to be able to add groups, but that's not typical. So in the past, we haven't been able to add groups, and we've had groups that we've added declined. And the problem that we had here was that we had one duplicative service, and and although it's not exactly the same, it's duplicative on its face. And then the other issue was that each of the other groups was reduced by $1,000. So if the one duplicative group wasn't funded, not only would we lose that group, but everyone else would lose as well.
Correct.
And so strategically we felt, and that's really simply it, it isn't a valuation of any group over another, it's just strategically we felt we were most likely to be funded with the formula that we had come up with. And certainly we can ask and talk to them, but adding groups, the funding doesn't get bigger, and we aren't even gonna get what we asked for here. What we asked for is a request, we're never awarded the full amount. So we were grateful. Last year, we had a public service group that we added, and they unfortunately didn't follow through with their paperwork, so we figured, let's try to replace them this year. So we had one slot, so we weren't even really asking for a new group this year, we were kind of keeping it tight. But expanding those that are awarded, it's possible, but it's also risky, and we feel like being conservative is the better approach here. And there may be other ways, and I just spoke to Gwen, there may be other things that we could do to assist their mission at the Church of the Harvest,
For this year coming up, you're saying?
potentially.
Dawn, when the county awards the money, are they specific that every group has to get the same amount, or could we?
We've only
choose to
ever.
do it based on need?
We've only ever asked for the same amount for every group forever, and just because we feel like we don't wanna be valuing one group over another. Everybody's got their own mission, everybody's doing their good work, and so we ask for what we can get, but we ask for the same amount for every group.
Well, they're all good groups, but some of them do more fundraising and do get funds from other areas. So, I don't think it's such a bad idea to take a look at that. If we're not able to change it this year, which I'm disappointed, I was always clear that I wanted to be able to add this group, I would just like next year, after you guys make your recommendations, if we could at least discuss at a work session so that we, so that the whole board has a discussion about it and that we're all in on it.
Yeah, well,
would be
I
nice.
wish you would have
We
asked
agree.
for a work session, because you guys met with the CDA department on October 31st, and we didn't discuss it for the first time until November 27th.
Because
We had
that's when the
3
resolution
weeks.
was submitted.
It doesn't matter, we had 3 weeks of work sessions prior to that you could have brought it to the entire town board to make a decision, rather than doing it on the day that the application is due. But
I'm
the
not-
two of you chose
I'm
not to do that.
Excuse me, I'm not looking to attack anyone, I'm just asking if next time we can
Yeah,
have an
so
open discussion.
once we have the
um,
resolution
and
that,
I think it would be a better process.
yeah, sets the public hearing, you have your public hearing, then you have a 30-day comment period. We send within that comment period, after the expiration of that comment period, we send to the board.
But you send the resolution to the board with your recommendations, so
But-
you sent that at the end of November.
No, prior to
No.
that, on October 22nd, I
sent
sent
the
a
recommendation to
spreadsheet
the
with our
board.
recommendations to the entire
Right.
board,
Right.
yes. And then we
But
had
then you
a,
put the resolution in, right?
Yes, yes,
From that, and then
absolutely.
you put that resolution at the end of November.
All right,
which
so-
is when it
so-
needed to be
so Dawn
adopted.
let us
We couldn't do
know
it before the expiration of the
understand
comment
that.
period.
Yes.
Next year, so next year after she lets us know the groups that they recommend, then I wanna have a work session that we can discuss it.
However you
And
wanna
we can
handle it.
avoid-
Board decision.
We can avoid this.
Yep, great. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dawn.
Thank you.
If I could add, I don't know if it could be considered, but as a businessman and a problem solver, I did hear, if I heard it correctly, that the retreat was only looking for $6,000. All right, if you still met the $6,000, that can free up $2,000, although you might not be able to change the criteria of what's already been established, but there's the possibility that $2,000 could be freed up to help this organization, at least at a minimal for this point. I'm just throwing it out there as an idea, not looking to create
yeah,
a
I
fight
think-
or an argument, but if they only asked for 6, that's what they said they needed, give them the 6, you have an extra 2 that possibly could be utilized elsewhere. That's all.
Yeah, I think what the way the county's deadline work, you have to submit it by a certain date, and then you can't change it at that point. I will work with Mr. Rothar to see if there's any money left in my budget at the end of this year, that we could then help support the Church of the Harvest for this year, and then going forward with the next application for the CDBG money. As I said, if it, a discussion with the town board, and maybe some certain.
I wasn't involved in any of this process, so I don't want to speak out of text, but just
Okay.
hearing those couple of comments, I
Always
thought we
contribute
could
campaign
grab
funds.
$2,000 and help them out, that's all.
Yeah, and if we're able to do that, that'd be great, Mr. Rothar. I'd
we'd
love
have
to
to
be
open
able
it
to
up to everybody.
fund, the Church of the Harvest Food Pantry, and in the meantime, I do have to say again that we are blessed that we have so many generous, and community volunteers in Riverhead.
And just as a point of policy, the county is not in favor of us spreading the money so thin. So if we have 56,000 to give it to 1,000 to 56 groups, because it's not impactful. They want the money to be impactful to the group that it's awarded to. So we try to make an award that makes some sense to a particular group rather than diluting it as much. And that's policy for them, and they wouldn't do that. If we put that in, we probably would be not awarded anything. So
I think the board understands that. I
Okay, I
think
just
that's
wanna
been the
make it-
change in the funding scale at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we could discuss 56 groups, though.
Yeah.
Resolution 863. We're appointing a provisional assistant water district superintendent. How long is that provisional appointment going to last?
Yes, it is.
The provisional appointment, I'd have to have our personnel person come here, but I believe the way it was is that there was a list. John, do you wanna explain? Right, he's not on the list, that's why it's provisional.
So why didn't we get someone who's on the list?
Because,
Nobody on the list applied for the position.
Did we survey them and ask?
yes,
And they all turned us down?
That's
I
correct.
don't want it.
interviewed
Every single one.
multiple times.
We need more people on the list.
So are we asking for a new test to be given? Have we asked for that? So that there can be a new
I believe
list
that that's
established?
what-
Because
I
I would
believe-
imagine that list is several years old at this point.
No, it's not. It
When
just
was
came-
it?
It's less than a year old.
Okay.
That came out. It's very challenging to
Yeah,
find, people in the water district, especially superintendents, assistant superintendents in the water district. It's a real challenge. So I don't know how quickly they'll give the test again. But if we have somebody provisional, I believe they have to give it within a year of that provisional appointment, so it will be administered again.
Okay.
And this
Thank
will
you.
trigger it.
But it does require 10 years of experience on the job as a plant operator in order to become a B1 license holder, and then once you're a B1 license holder, then you can take the test for a water district
Well, I would hope that
superintendent.
you're getting an assistant, if you're getting an assistant water district superintendent, that they would be someone who's qualified.
Yeah, they
As
have to be
opposed to
licensed.
what we've had sometimes in the past in other positions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Okay.
He's getting it again.
Anybody else? If not, we will move on to resolutions. Resolution 856.
I'm getting there, hold on a minute.
I think this resolution needs a second fiscal impact statement, because as I discussed at the work session on Thursday, I didn't think that the numbers were adding up, and they didn't add up, and this resolution was changed yesterday to put money back into an account and take money out of another account, and I see on the fiscal impact statement, it says that you're taking the money out of, it was $100,000 short from the trust and agency account, which is what my calculations were coming up to. So I know that the resolution was changed, and I know that we're rescinding the master plan resolution, and we're saying that instead of taking $275,000 out of the trust and agency account, now we're only taking $175,000 out of the trust and agency account. But I think it needs a second fiscal impact statement saying that that $100,000 is going back into the trust and agency account.
I will have, let's move this resolution, we'll do a first and second and then discussion. And, Mr. Rother, I'll have you come up here for that.
Okay, Councilman, you're up, kid.
You gotta move it.
The gavel's on.
I'm never first.
We tricked you.
Somebody did trick me.
Yeah.
Amendment to resolution number 739, adopted on October 2nd, 2019. So moved.
And I'll second that.
Moved in second, discussion. I'll have you clarify this, Bill, but the way this is, when the, master plan was done, $400,000 came out from the community, benefit fund, and $275,000 of it came out from the, another trust and agency fund, which was, the Riverhead, Solar, Trust and Agency Fund. So, but in order to move these projects forward, which is the pickleball courts and the open space projects and the playgrounds, as well as the water at the dog parks, some of those projects can be slotted to come out for payment from the community benefit fund, some of them cannot.
Right.
Let me finish talking. So, the $275,000 that was coming out from the trust and agency account is being reduced from the master plan to $175, and we'll leave $100,000 in there, which will then be used to do the park at Grangeville, the playground at Grangeville, to redo to add the also playground equipment at Bayberry, as well as to bring water to the dog park. That other $100,000 from the master plan will now be coming out of an account from the community benefit fund. So it's the same amount of money, it's just the account that it's coming from. It has not changed at all. The total project cost, I believe, is $325,000 for all of these projects. They are being funded from the community benefit money, as well as some of the trust and agency money. So it's just really an accounting switch. It is not adding any additional money or not having the money to cover the different projects.
Okay, understood, but we only had $450,000 in the trust and agency account. And we already took out $275,000 for the master plan, and we already took out $175,000 for the pattern book. So that's the $450,000.
Okay, I'm gonna just stop
So
you.
now if you're gonna take out another $175,000, you gotta put $100,000 back into the trust and agency. Bill,
Alright.
do you understand what I'm
Okay,
saying?
and so, I hear what you're saying. It's the $275 and the $175, correct? And that equals your $450,000. So there will no longer be the $275 coming out for the master plan. It will only be $175 coming out of that account, and there will be $100,000 in there to then be able to pay for the park at the George Young Community Center, to pay for the park at Bayberry,
understand
as
that.
well as to have the water for the dog parks.
I understand
So-
that, you already went through the list of things that it's paying for, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, as of right now, because we already adopted this resolution, 739 on October 2nd, 2019, taking $275,000 out for the master plan. So the fiscal impact statements are going to be overdrawn by $100,000 unless we put that $100,000 back into,
Correct.
by fixing it with a fiscal impact statement, putting the money back into the trust and agency.
Correct.
And that's what I'm saying, why this resolution needs two fiscal impacts. We're taking 175 out, but we gotta put the 100 back in order to pay for those other projects.
Well,
So that there's no confusion when somebody looks back at these resolutions and says, where did that other $100,000 go or come from?
and that's why this amendment is first. So this
But there's no
amendment.
two fiscal impact statements.
So are you talking about the resolution itself, or you want it also?
I want the fiscal impact, I want
Okay,
a second
Bill,
fiscal
can
impact
you-
statement.
Can you write a fiscal impact statement for this resolution? So the fiscal impact statement will say what the resolution says, which is in the resolve, the town board hereby amends the funding for the updated town comprehensive plan recited in resolution 739 adopted October 7 to reflect the approval for expenditures of community benefit from the promotion and protection of agricultural open space initiatives in the amount of $2,000 and promotion improvement of the environmental initiative in the amount of $300,000 and funds from the trust and agency established from the payment of the Riverhead Solar Farms in the amount of $175,000. So this is exactly what this is doing. It's putting the $100,000, taking the $100,000 from it, so you just need to fill out
I get
those
it.
two fiscal impact statements. Could you have that before the end of the meeting for us?
The resolution has been corrected from Thursday. It was not stated clearly, and we had too much money coming out of the trust and agency, as I calculated. So now the resolution has been corrected as of yesterday, so we know where the funds are coming from and how we're paying for it, which is what I wanted to know. But now we need to replenish the trust and agency fund with the $100,000, so we have that $100,000 clearly documented by the fiscal impact statements, so that when it comes time to pay the bills for the other projects that can be covered under the trust and agency, that the money is there, and that the fiscal impact statements match up. So the resolution was corrected, but the fiscal impact statement was not. So if you could just do a second fiscal impact statement, transferring the money out of the fund that was created for the master plan back to the trust and agency, so the money's in trust and agency when we go to pay the bills for these other projects.
So can you have
Thank
that by
you.
the end of the
I can do
meeting,
that.
so that
That would
we
be great.
will
Got it?
move these
Yeah.
resolutions until you can get that done?
Okay,
Yes,
thank you, Bill.
and that resolution has to be done before the next
Correct, it has to be
supervisory
done
license.
so that the money is there to do these projects,
I'll do the
correct.
fiscal impact
So
statement now.
I am going to take
Hold on your
resolution
office, you can change them.
856, 857, and 858, and put them to the side till Bill can return with that piece of paper.
Perfect.
And so we'll move
Am I
on
gonna be
to
up again?
859, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Men's Resolution 2019-638. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 860.
Reappoints a student intern to the Justice Court, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 861.
This reappoints a temporary office assistant to the tax receiver's office, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 862.
Appoints a building permits examiner, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 863.
Appoints a provisional assistant water district superintendent. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
I want to thank Catherine and Tim, who sit on the interviews committees, for being so patient and making sure that we found the right one and making sure that we got the right person in here, because you have to have 2 licensed B1 operators when you own a water district in order to be in compliance with the New York State DEC. So I know it was a difficult task for both of you, and I want to thank you for putting the time in to get the right one. And I'll vote yes.
Well, when you get 2 people in there who are so excited to talk about water.
And honestly, the
They can go on
problem is,
about it.
there's not a lot of these people around.
Nope.
Right.
But the problem becomes for us as a little town compared to the Suffolk County Water Authority is pay base. And that's really what it came down to. We had to post this 2 or 3 different times before we got anybody to even apply. And we're probably still under what Suffolk County Water Authority pays, but, you know, it's a matter of whether they wanna come out east and work, or whether they're from the area or whatever. But it's a difficult task to fill when you have limited number of applicants.
And I'll agree with that. Yep.
Wooten says yes.
Wooten says yes. Okay, that was my next question. Jen Smith.
But I think, I vote yes, and I think, you know, having Frank Mancini in the superintendent position and John Flynn as the assistant, I think, really is going to, you know, help our water district. I think they're 2 excellent people.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy that they're both here,
Very
with us.
Okay, resolution 863 is adopted. Resolution 864.
General town budget transfer, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
It's gonna get cold in here before the end of the year. We're transferring money from heat to telephone. There'll be a lot of talking, but.
A lot of hot air on the phones,
A
but
lot of
none
hot
in the
air on
room.
the phones, but none in the building. Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 865.
This is East Creek budget adjustment. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and this is, you know, we had the problem with the transformers this summer at the docks. So the engineering department was able to do a great job, and the transformers are now, are not underneath us, but we had to upgrade the electrical, so that we will not be, it will not be our responsibilities to replace them moving forward. So, it's a cost saving to the town in the future.
Okay, resolution adopted. Resolution 866.
Says
Municipal.
That's the one that needs to be amended.
Correct.
Municipal garage budget transfer, I wish to amend the resolution to make it $60,000 from health insurance for $60,000 to the municipal garage. And Bill, you'll correct that impact statement also, correct? Okay. And then, also, actually, we could just do it now. We can amend the fiscal impact statement now to make the appropriation $60,000 as well. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes to the amendment.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 867.
Highway Department budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 868.
Police department budget transfer, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
That must be one hell of a shredder for $8 grand. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 869.
869 authorizes the release of security of Francis Site Development, CO Company, for a drain layer for Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 870.
Rejects bid proposal for placement of communications cellular towers on town property. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 871.
Rescinds resolution number 2019-816, bid monitoring wells, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 872.
This awards bid for a rebid charter coach transportation for 2019-2020. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 873.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for electric motor repair replacement, including emergencies in the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 874.
2020 renewal of bid for water distribution leak detection survey contract for Riverhead Water District.
I never did it.
So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 875.
non-pro-tunc extension of bid for Downflake Extra 83 to 87% calcium chloride or equal. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 876.
It's a 2020 renewal of bid for maintenance and emergency service repair contract M for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 877.
Extends bid for general hardware items. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 878.
2020 renewal of bid for control valve maintenance and repair services for Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 879.
2020 renewal of bid for electrical system maintenance and emergency services contract for Riverhead Riverhead Water District. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 880.
This is another 2020 renewal of bid for maintenance and emergency services for contract D for distribution for Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 881.
2020 renewal of bid for process control system maintenance and emergency services contract for Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 882.
Establishes time of regular meetings of the town board. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, discussion. I think this is what was brought up about the 2 o'clock and the 6 PM meetings.
Yeah.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I think probably 6 o'clock works for most people in the community.
I prefer it the way it is, splitting it up so people who can come during the day can come.
But I think that we should vote on it the way it is now and wait until the new board comes in and discuss it at a work session and change it, as we did this past year, where we changed it to 6 PM from 7 PM for the second meeting of the month. So I think it's something that can be considered by the new board when they come in and what fits in the schedules of those people. I think it might work better at the 6 o'clock meeting, but for the new board coming in, sorry, Jim.
Or no.
Well, you've served 12 years very proudly, and
I
the
used
town
to like
is
the 7 o'clock meetings, actually.
great to you, yeah.
Have a little supper
What are you, a
before you
night
come in.
owl?
So I think we should leave it for the new
I have
board.
no problem with that.
Okay,
That's fine.
moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
We're gonna
Yes.
table, we're
You
voting on
have
it
to
now.
establish it,
Yep.
because it's the
Yep.
first meeting of the year.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 883.
Authorizes town clerk, Diane Wilhelm, to publish and post public notice to consider the adoption of a local law entitled Local Law to Change the Term of Office of Town Supervisor from 2 years to 4 years. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
I think this is a great idea. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Give it another shot. Yes.
Giglio.
I feel that if you're in the position and you're doing a good job, you'll get elected for a second term, and that you don't need a 4-year term, because I like the idea that you can change the dynamics or the direction of the town every 2 years if you chose to do so. And I think the public agrees with me, because I think this has been put up for a vote at least 4 or 5 times over the years. So I am going to vote no. I think it's, the more referendums you have on the back of a ballot, the more confusing it is to the people. And I like the idea of being able to change the direction of the town every 2 years, so I'm gonna vote no.
Wooten.
Well, being this doesn't really involve anybody currently on the board or going off the board, I've always said it made sense. I always thought that the supervisor should be 4 and the council should be 2. But the public has made their known at the voting both, and that's where it belongs. So let's put it up and see what happens. I do, yes.
Jen Smith.
And I vote yes. I think that the two-year term is too short for a supervisor. I think that there's already term limits in place. If there weren't term limits in place, I wouldn't do the 4 years without a term limit. But I think that we do have the term limits in place. I think the 4 years is conducive to better governance of the town. So I support the 4-year term, and I appreciate you guys putting it up for vote.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 884.
Ratifies the execution and submission of grant application to Suffolk County for fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant Funds. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
I'm gonna vote no. I do appreciate the work that the CDA does. I would have liked to, for us as a board, to have had more discussion so that we could possibly have included, Church of the Harvest.
Hubbard.
I don't think anybody up here wants to exclude anybody that applied for this, but as Ms. DeVito mentioned, she's willing to take the chance. I'm not, because I don't want somebody possibly bumped out and the other people being cut $1,000 off their budget. So I'm not willing to make that, but I do wish that we look into this for next year's budget, and we do have an open discussion and find out whether or not we can have more than one duplicative service such as what we have now, so we're not in this bind again. So I'm gonna vote yes.
Giglio.
I am going to support the recommendations of the CDA, but I will be writing a check to the Church of Harvest for all the work that you do, and I hope, and you can accept my donation to the Church of the Harvest, and I hope that other members of the board that feel strongly about
Good idea.
supporting your cause, that they would make a donation as well. So thank you for all you do, and I will be making a donation to you.
Was that yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wait for. Wooten.
Well, I can tell you, I'm going out of office, so I will put my name on your list. Deliver food to my house.
I was gonna say you volunteer.
No, there's a lot of good people in this community. I've found time, politics aside, and this is not a good gear of what the community's about. Out there's what the community's about. And there's a lot of good organizations doing good things for good people. The churches have stepped up, and I always said, you want a good program, let the private people do it, let the churches handle all that. And organizations and not so much government. I would love to, I'd love to have, no, I need you, I gotta give you my address, I like Rice Krispies. I would love to support you. Unfortunately, we didn't have that discussion in a time that really made sense for the application. It came in kinda late for us even to consider it. I do know what you do. I remember when you first came to Riverhead. I think it was the Latter-day Saints before you took the building over. So, I appreciate what you do, believe me, I know what you do. I was one of the founding members of the soup kitchen at our church. So I know what it's like to try to deal with the needy in our community. I know Dawn is gonna be, if she told you that there might be some sources out there, believe me, she's gonna beat the bushes and find some sources. Now that we're getting some notoriety about what you're doing, you'll find there will be some private donations coming in. And you'll certainly be given a good hard look next year to get some funding. The only thing is that, unfortunately, for years of doing this, people do depend on that money when they do their budgets. It's very costly to do that, no matter, and you look for donations and you look for product, but they depend on that for their budgets, and that's right. So, stand on, you'll get it. You're just not gonna, it's a little late this year.
He's gonna cost you.
I'm not making any promises. If you know what I give out into this community, maybe I can take away from some that I do give to. But I won't make that promise on you. So, I have to vote yes on the resolution.
Jen Smith.
I'm gonna vote yes on the resolution. I do feel that there was $56,000 here. I would have liked to have seen it be divided in a little bit of a different manner to be able to include the Church of the Harvest. But that being said, the ratification, the application had to go in. It was submitted, so I'm going to vote yes on this. I'm glad that the board realizes that there's a very tight timeline with this from when it gets the 30-day comment period to when the town can do this. I went back and looked at some of the past resolutions. It always was a tight timeline for the ratification of this, so I think maybe coming up with some sort of criteria beforehand that can happen after the public hearing, to be able to do that, and it's in conjunction with the town board, so that there's some clear understanding of how we evaluate this. I hope that you guys will move that forward, so, but I do vote yes on this.
Resolution adopted. Resolution
And-
885.
And I just wanna make one more, and I do have to agree, if Dawn said she'd find some other avenues for funding, I know that she will. And I think Laura said she'd work on it, so I think it'll happen. Sorry, Diane.
Resolution 885.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 886.
Yes.
Authorizes the removal of fixed assets, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 887.
It's a motion to pay the bills. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. You know, I'm just noticing on this last one, that number shouldn't be there. It was, a different number. It
For the
needs to be
resolution number?
yeah, that got in there
So
by
what should the
mistake.
number?
I wanna say it's 838, but I can't remember
Why
off
is
the
it
top.
a table?
We tabled it
We
last time.
tabled it, right.
Oh, this is for the Vimier?
Yeah, somehow
Do
that.
we need to have the resolution number to call it, or can we call it by title?
We need the resolution number.
John, are you're able to, okay, just
Yeah.
let's wait 1 second.
This is not a wood chipper.
Yes, this is, yeah.
Brush chipper.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, it was, it doesn't make any sense. It says it was 888 on November 19th as well.
I think it was at the last meeting that it was on.
Somehow that number got
That was
changed when we
November
were
19th.
switching things around, but
It should be 838.
838,
Just for the
okay.
typo, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that.
Okay. Okay.
See, Diane, see how good you are?
No.
She's like, that number doesn't look right to me.
No, no.
Okay, so we're making a motion to
We can
untable
untable.
resolution number 838. Make a
That's
motion
okay.
to untable.
It was me?
I second that. I have a first and second to untable, resolution 838. Vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes to untable.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 838 is untabled.
Alright, so then you call it.
Okay.
Okay, Catherine, move it.
Oh, you don't have to call it. Award bid for one new Vermeer BC 1200 XL towable gas brush chipper or equal. So moved.
I'll
Get all-
second.
I get all the exciting ones.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, now, we'll go back to the other resolutions. This one reminds me, have you ever seen the Christmas Story where the BB gun? with the-
Oh, yeah.
What was that? He gets his tongue stuck on that.
Yeah. All right, so it just,
Waiting for the corrected fiscal impact statements.
Bill printed it. I don't know if he's walking up there.
did you get lost?
He's,
He's not paying any attention.
I knew you'd get it done, Bill.
I have two of them here. One of them is $60,000, so you're gonna get new resolution NFIS.
No, we changed that on the,
Okay. So that's this one, and then this is the FIS.
yeah, there's an FIS. There's another FIS.
So these two go together, right?
And one is for the
Those-
60,000,
this
50 to
is-
60, and then the other one is for,
This one.
but we already did that. We did that when we adopted the
Change
resolutions.
that on.
I'll just pass this
I
one.
don't even know what all this is. What's this?
I just need one of the fiscal impact statements.
This is the, we changed the 60,000.
That one was saved in the contract, that's the,
This
so
one?
they did.
Oh, okay, that other one, yeah.
Where's the other one, Bill, the
That's the
community benefit one?
Come.
Okay.
Which one?
that's, 866.
I
didn't end up with any.
Benefit one?
Oh, yeah, why not? We keep bumping them down, probably the three, the other
Yeah, the
table.
60,000 we did,
Teacher,
we
you-
Yeah, I
amended.
just did the same class,
Okay.
you guys did on the fly.
Sure.
So this is just one,
That's just the FIS,
okay.
and
this
then I
is-
gave you one that I guess was already done on the fly.
For the 60,000 instead of 50.
Okay, so this is the fiscal impact statement for 856,
That is correct.
Yes.
okay.
It's the second fiscal impact statement for 856, correct?
Correct.
It's accompanying the one that's already in there.
So latest greatest. Yes.
Okay, so, did we have a,
Can I, want me to call it?
I'm supposed to call it.
yeah, go ahead,
Good,
Catherine.
good.
So am I supposed to say as?
I'm just, Diane, did we call this one already? We didn't
I
call?
think
We had a
called
first, we had a first and
856.
second, we had
Okay.
discussion, and then we
Right,
held
and then
off
we
on it.
held off.
So it's, we have a first and second vote, please.
Okay,
As
Kent,
amended.
Yes.
Hubbard,
As amended to include the second fiscal impact.
Resolution 856 as amended, yes.
Giglio,
Resolution 856 as amended to include the second fiscal impact statement, which would return $100,000 back into trust and agency 645-T36. Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith,
Yes.
resolution adopted.
That's what it says on that.
Resolution
That's what it says on the
857.
thing.
Well, Jim, if I didn't say anything on Thursday, the resolution would have just gone through as it was,
Well,
and
the
we'd have been overspent by $100,000 in
Well,
that
the
account.
resolution was corrected.
Uh,
She read it.
Not with the fiscal impact statement, returning the
Well, no,
money.
You're right, the fifth line, the resolution in its verbiage was correct.
Your call on this.
Go ahead, this is yours.
It's long.
857 approves expenditure of trust and agency account funds and community benefit funds for the improvements to playgrounds located at Bayberry Park, George Young Community Center, water installation at Epcal and Stotsky Park Dog Parks, which is Isaac and Duke, and installation/construction of improvements for pickleball courts. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
I think this is very exciting. I think our community, the people of Riverhead are gonna enjoy all of these. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yeah, I'm very excited too. I'm not sure why it wasn't budgeted for, but I'm happy that it's happening, because the parks are definitely in need of improvement, yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith,
Absolutely, yes. I think, you know, this was, money that we didn't have previously, so it was not in the budget. We didn't have the capital budget. We needed to stay within the tax cap. That's why these were not all in the budget. We did do capital improvements last year on our parks. We did have the tennis court over at Bayberry, as well as some other capital improvements were done, as the boilers here also. So that's why this is being funded, in this manner.
resolution adopted. Resolution 858,
Amends resolution number 365 adopted on May 18th, 2016, and approves expenditure of community benefit funds for improvements to parks located at Sharper Hill, Sound Avenue, Nature Preserve, and Weeping Willow Park. So, this one's fine, but why is it saying amends?
It's the resolution that was adopted 365 on May 18th, 2016.
It said the amount not to exceed $10,000, the cost of Sharper Hill is gonna be more than that?
Okay, so that's the only reason why it's being amended?
Correct, yes.
So, okay, so when we approved it in 2016, it was only for $10,000 for Sharper Hill, and now we're increasing the amount.
Correct.
It
Okay.
was, yeah.
Got it. Okay, so I called the resolution, right?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Very pleased to vote yes on this, and I want to thank the Open Space Committee for their hard work, and the supervisor.
Thank you.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
I can tell you, when we put that nature preserve on Sound Avenue, when I signed on open space, we created that with a small little bit of money we had in the community preservation fund. We took, I think, 75,000 a year mark to do that. It was just enough to get it somewhat bearable. And we had a lot of donations from the highway department and whatnot. So, the open space did a lot of work on that. And to see this money going to improve that even more, it's a nice little respite for those who venture out and dare take their lives in their hands riding their bicycle on Sound Avenue, but at least you can get off the road and spend some time there. It's wanna make it a nice educational place for the schools. So, it's very well earmarked, all this money for great causes, for great public places, so I support it, yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and once again, you know, to the Open Space Committee, you know, we've had the committees come in and report off. We've had the Recreation Committee, we've had the Open Space Committee. They've been working for many, many years, coming up with the ability to maintain our parks and to maintain our open space. I think being able to provide them with some funds to take the next step for things that they've been requesting, I think is something that I'm very proud of. I think the whole board should be very proud of being able to do this, so I'm very happy that we're able to do this, and also create a new park. Because, you know, we are a town, we have a lot of open space, but to be able to go in and utilize that open space that we have is very important. So, I'm very pleased, and thank you guys for supporting this.
Resolution adopted.
Just want to say that the Open Space Committee does talk about how there's a lot of parks, but they do have to be maintained. And so it's great that we're doing this, and I do want to thank the supervisor for finding the money.
And Buildings and Grounds for continually maintaining them.
Agree.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're not happy
And
about
for
that
all of you
either.
guys for supporting.
At this time, I will ask anybody who would like to address the board to please come forward and,
Angela DeVito, just a couple of items. I was glad to hear you, Catherine, raise the issue of making town residents aware of civil service exams. And I'd like to suggest that a synergy between the town of Riverhead and the school districts within our township ask and come in. I mean, I work for the Department of Labor. I'm a workforce development specialist. But we ask civil service to come in and talk to young people, as well as civil service is not blocked off to individuals who have been formerly incarcerated. There are positions that are available to them, and we do have a population here in Riverhead that's been formerly incarcerated, for which employment is very, very difficult for them to secure. So I'm glad that you did raise that issue. There needs to be, second is the clarity of the summer youth jobs. Last year, I inquired about the jobs with the Recreation Department, and I was told by our Personnel Department that Recreation handles all of the hirings on their own. And I think that creates a bit of confusion as to who young people are to submit cover letters and resumes to for, or even to know what jobs are available. I would ask that the board consider a greater outreach and posting of the types of jobs and positions that are available, and also clarify who is the town agency that young people need to go to with their applications, because there was some confusion there.
and we did have civil service come in recently. We did 2 sessions, just about what civil service jobs are, how to take the exam. You know, hopefully that will continue being done, because there is a need for outreach, and greater outreach. I think we started with that, but we have worked with the schools a bit on it, but we certainly can do a better job, so
We did,
take that under.
also, we spoke to the head of student affairs at Suffolk Community College, and I did speak to people in the school district, but maybe we could spread the word through our churches too.
Yeah, there's, and just in how we do it.
We try to hire local people.
Yeah, and basically wholesome clinics for people who, because many people for the first time filling out those forms, I mean, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and it costs, and you gotta pay $150 for a test, to take a test, in order to get
Well,
on the list on
if you're,
some of them.
if you are,
They can get waived.
someone is certain, it can be waived depending upon your economic status. So, and those are things that people need to know.
Yeah.
They also need to know that they can be reimbursed for layouts, for uniforms and those sorts of things, whatever happens. But I just think it's an active way of, and also with the library, because, you know, our library now has an employment sector. They have a desk there where they have someone who comes in and helps people with resumes and such. So if we could kind of build, and not everyone's sort of working on it independently, but like, let's work on it together so that we maximize what we can do outreach with. Listening to, I'm very encouraged about the parks, improvements for parks, and one of the things I would like to suggest that we also explore, we can explore it through the State Department of Environmental Conservation. We can create here in our town, as they do in many places in the western states, a youth conservation corps the funding to support young people in their semesters, their school semesters, and this is high school age, normally 16 to 21 years of age, or what the Youth Conservation Corps works on. The funding for that can either come through the state of New York or the federal government, which means that to the town, there would be no cost in terms of having youth working on specific projects. And a lot of that could be with the Youth Conservation Corps. Having lived out in the western states, a lot of our national parks and the conditions that they're maintained in and projects that they do are due to these youth who work for them during the months that the parks are open for such things. So I just think it's something that it's worthwhile in exploring. It also would open up to our youth a new pathway of potential employment to think about doing urban ecology, other conservation, environmental work and such that perhaps they have not had as much exposure to or thought about in the past. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
And thank you for all the work you do, Angela, in the jail for the transition from being incarcerated back into the public sector and into the workforce. So I know you work a lot of hours doing that, and I thank you for that.
3 p.m.
You want to do that?
Yes, Christmas parade.
Hi, my name is Ruby Barrow, and sitting here listening to the panel, I've never been here before. And I came to support Gwen because she gets in trouble, and I wanted to keep her. And as you were talking, she was holding the whole conversation. I said, "Did you hear what they just said?" She said I was talking, but I'll tell you what they were saying, okay? But as I'm sitting here listening, so many things going through my mind. I've been in Riverhead all my life, and I worked in Watermill Post Office. I just retired, 34 years, and I live in Riverhead, but on Flanders. And yet, Riverhead has changed. I don't know Riverhead anymore. I hear a lot of great things, parks, and I'm hearing all the wonderful things you're doing, but you know, it's not my town. I have to say it this way. I mean, it's my town, but I don't recognize it anymore. Because I live on Flanders. My sister and I, we used to walk uptown. We had things to do. The stores, you need money. The stores, it wasn't like it was before. You can go to Woolworth, McClellan's, and all the things that just to be able to just sit and have a milkshake. You get a balloon, you pop it, that's what you, now it takes so much money. I feel so sorry for kids that so many kids have never been to the aquarium. And the aquarium's been here a long time. They said, no, well, we can't afford it. Is there ever anything that kids could maybe have, like a pass to go to the aquarium? It's like, it's beautiful, but then some of them may not even get to know what it's like inside that building.
They do schools take
Well,
class trips there sometimes, but they still pay. They get a discounted rate, I think.
It's like $5 a person
Yeah,
to get in.
they get a cheaper rate.
All right,
It's
I'm
not
just,
connected to the town.
It's not.
It's a private business.
I know,
So
but-
I'm sure if as a member of the community, you could certainly reach out to them.
I have.
But it's not
I have.
something that the town has any jurisdiction over.
we used to do a lot of things. We do a lot of things together. We're both cancers, so those crabs do all the stuff, you know, and we did a lot of things, and yet, when I walk uptown, when my sister comes out, she lives in the Bronx, and she says, Ruby, it's all business. That's what Riverhead is now. It's all business. It's not that comforting thing on Friday nights. You could be able to just walk uptown, and they had music coming. You know, you can walk on the sidewalks, you have music, and the whole bit, and it upsets me. I have to say that to you. It's not, every time my son and we go down Main Street, he said, I know this bothers you, because everything is about money.
You know, you need to think about coming to the next public forum. We had a public forum where Jody was there and Laura, and, you know, the community shared their thoughts and ideas about the downtown. They want to hear what you have to say, so
Well, I have. When they did the revitalization on Peconic Avenue, we had to go to, they were going to say what they're going to do in Riverhead. And my son and I were the only ones that got up and spoke. And they said, well, you know, we're getting there. But as everyone's talking, it's like, wow, it's great stuff, and I'm happy about the parks. I'm happy about, especially about, this is Gwen's passion. She said, Ruby, meet me at Town Hall, because really, there's things I gotta do. I'm gonna do, I said, Gwen, I will be there.
She's the go-getter.
Yeah, and I'm right behind her. We back each other up. We don't have to ask. She'll say, so what are we doing now?
But you
So
need
what
to
are we doing
come-
now?
You need to come, we're going to have a public forum again in January, and it's a perfect opportunity for you to bring these points up. I'm sure they'd wanna hear them, they're working on the downtown.
Okay.
And we gotta
Uh,
support our local businesses too, because
Well, I
the
understand it.
businesses.
No, I see that.
And the
I
businesses are the
understand.
ones that spend the money to bring the bands and to have the, outside events and things like that. So, I mean, Jim had his Friday night concert series that I hope he'll continue to do even when he's not on the
Is
board
he?
anymore.
Probably will.
Yeah,
And,
well,
um,
I've seen, I mean, we've done nice things, but even like on football games on a Saturday, you knew it was a football game because they would, everybody would be walking on Main Street and, the cars would say, eh. My sister and I never knew what team it was because we wanted to see who was on the other bus, so we never watched it, but still, it was Riverhead.
Back in the day when Southampton were our rivals.
Yeah, and, but and as I'm sitting there, I was like, Ruby, get up, you gotta say something, just sitting here, but great stuff. And I'm glad you called me, because she didn't give me, she called me at the last minute, but I told her I'd be there, so. I'm here, and I'm glad I was here, so
Nice.
thank you.
Thank you, we
Thank you.
appreciate sharing all your thoughts.
I just wanted to say I appreciate the work you do and the decisions you have to make, and it's tough, and you always have a lot of people with different opinions, and you have to work it out, and I appreciate the way you work together, and I'm very pleased with that, and I just want to thank you for your service to this town. It's a great town, and I appreciate your service these years, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Right back at you, Pastor.
Pastor,
It is a great
Pastor,
town.
I didn't catch your last name before. Troyano, okay. Thank you.
Common spelling.
Seeing nobody else, can I have a first and second to close the town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So carried.